So what do you do when your people can't see their own racism? Hello, you all. It's Ann O'Connor coming to you from Metamorphics, where we help people become who they want to be. And this morning I am talking about racism and its impact in our relationships. And if you've had these conversations in your life with people you care about, you can see how tender they are and how difficult they are, and sometimes how they can devolve very quickly into bitterness and anger and blame and resentment and frustration, right? So, I want to start by saying, just in my headline, when your people don't understand about their racism, or they can't see their own racism. So I use the phrase "your people" a lot, and what I mean when I say that is not like your people as a collective of white people or black people or whatever. What I'm talking about when I say that is your people in your life, who you love, who you are with, who you care about, who form your circle. And those are the people that have the most influence, the most impact, both ways, on you and the people that you impact and love and care about the most. So that's what I'm talking about. But it's kind of an interesting distinction, because when we talk about racism, it is the work of white people to help each other figure this out and to do better. And that is so hard and so difficult and so fraught with so many complicated feelings. And so I'm going to try to go tenderly and carefully here, but I am so curious to hear about what you think about this. And just want to say that, you can never solve any issue in a short little Facebook Live. That's true every single day that I do this. But today of all days, I just want to state it so clearly. Like, I am not pretending that I'm solving any issue here. But I think it's good to have the discussion about what we do with our own racism and how we manage to do our best to overcome it and to work from maybe being racist into being aware and hopefully working towards being an anti-racist, right? Somebody who actually actively works towards, works against racism. Not easy stuff, folks, not easy. So if you are listening to this and you're thinking, well, I'm not a racist, okay, that's kind of where you're at. And I want to say that respectfully, but I also want to say, maybe it's time to dig a little bit deeper, because we were all indoctrined into a way of seeing the world, and we still are. And so it's pretty tough to be in this world today without having racism just actively in our thought patterns and our unconscious biases and the ways that we behave in the world. So this is the reason I'm doing this today, is because I want to just say, hey, you know what? It's not that surprising to be a racist. It's not that unusual to be a racist. It would be surprising if you weren't actually a racist. And so I say that to my white friends and people that I care about, and I say it with a lot of respect and care, because that's a loaded word, and what I want to talk today about what that means. So part of what prompted this conversation for me is I went and saw a play called The White Card, and the impact that play has had on me has been profound, and I'm just sort of digesting it and trying to think about my role and what I do and don't do. Claudia Rankin is a poet, and she wrote this play, and it's on right now at the Penumbra Theater in St. Paul, Minnesota. And if you get a chance to go see it, I highly recommend that you do. And if you can't go see it, there's actually a great study guide on the website. They put together this amazing study guide that you can take a look at and think about these issues. So I recommend that you do that. And if you feel, especially if you're somebody who feels like, gosh, I hear a lot about racism, but I'm not really convinced that there is still racism, or I'm not racist, or if that's where you're at, I just really encourage you to go and take a look at some things that can help you to have an understanding a little bit of other people's experience. And so this is one way you could do that. You could also go look at, the New York Times Magazine has been running this series, and Nicole Hannah-Jones, she's been doing the 1619 series, which talks about when people were taken into slavery from Africa and brought to this country, and so sort of the roots of racism and but what's so fascinating about the series and what I love about it the most is that what she does is she actually takes current day systems and institutions, and she looks at the role that racism has played and the ways that people of color have been treated within these systems. And so it really is profound to take a look at our healthcare system or music, or I'm trying to think of some of the other things that she's done, but you could go check that out. There's a lot of really great information out there. You could just Google how to be an anti-racist, and you could have a lot of really interesting reading. So I would encourage you to do that for yourself if you're on the edge of not really sure that you believe in racism or that you're racist. Those are some great resources. And then if you're like really clear, like, hey, I've got these racist ideas because I grew up in this family that was racist, and we are all racist, and you get that, then I think our work becomes, what do we do with that, and how do we have these conversations? And the play last night, one of the things that they talked about is, Sarah Bellamy, the artistic director at the Penumbra, one of the things that she wrote in her note was, we have to have more of these conversations around our dinner tables and in the office. And I can't remember exactly what she said, but the idea of being brave enough to step forward and to have the conversations. So that's what I'm trying to do today, is to step forward and have the conversation. And it's fraught, right? These are challenging conversations, but I think that they're worth having anyway. And so I would encourage you to be brave and to bring this up with people you love and people you are struggling with, and to just have the conversation, because that's how we move forward, and that's how we begin to understand better other people's experiences. And when we understand one another better, our relationships are better, and we are more well-rounded people, and we can actually contribute more and better when we have some understanding of other people's lives and what they live with. So that's what the white card is actually all about. It's really an incredible gift to white people that, to be there and to show us, like, to put the mirror up is really what the director, and his name I can't remember, but certainly Claudia Rankine, the poet, was saying, this is about, she was in a crowd, and she was doing a talk back after one of the show that she has been doing a while back in one of her pieces of work, and a white man stood up and said, what can I do for you? And she gave it back to him and said, what can you do for you? And so her challenge and her question is, white people need to think about where they're coming from and their impact on the rest of the world. And that is not an easy task, but it's an important task that we all have, that we're all charged with if we want to have good relationships, if we want to create a world of more equity and fairness, then that's the work before us. So I wanted to say today, you're not going to get it right. I am as nervous as anybody about getting things wrong, and you just got to do it anyway, and you just have to stand in what is difficult and say, this is worth moving forward. So today I wanted to say, be brave, have these conversations, and instead of looking at what we can do and how to change other people, we can look at how to change ourselves to become more aware. And to the third thing is really to just do the work, right? There's a lot of information out there right now. If you are feeling like you don't believe in racism, that it exists anymore, or that you don't have anything to do with any of those ideas, I just encourage you so much, please, to do some work around this area. There's tons of resources out there. There's not any reason anymore that any of us need to be unaware of how these systems are built and their impact on people. So that's what I've got for you today, and thanks for being here with me. It's Ann O'Connor from Metamorphics, and I look forward to seeing you again. Go out there and be brave, have the conversations that matter, and I'm signing off.